everybody. Welcome back to Vegas Weekly for Saturday, April the 17th, 2021. Glad to be back on a regularly scheduled broadcast with lots of news today. A kind of interesting tip that I haven't really heard anybody mention, but I think is a good one. We'll have a brand new cocktail from 60-Second Cocktail, our friend Vino. We'll put a link to his channel in the show notes below. I'm kind of neglecting the show notes lately. I think we need to rethink those, but we'll definitely link to his channel below. I think PJ is going to be back with us next week with a cocktail, so keep your fingers crossed if you're a big fan of PJ's cocktails. He will be in Vegas, though, so I'll have to get with him on that. But as I say, it has been a lot of big news in Vegas the last couple of weeks, and since I haven't been around to talk to you about it, I'm going to try to cover, at least briefly, each one of these news stories. And going backwards several weeks now, we had the opening of Virgin Hotels on the old Hard Rock Hotel property. At least some of it, or most of it, at least the hotel proper and the casino. There has been kind of more or less universal reaction to the property, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that briefly. I watched a video the other day from Steven not leaving Las Vegas. I occasionally check out his videos. Some people say that I remind them of him. I don't know. I guess we both have glasses and can be curmudgeonly at times. So, but I wanted to credit him because I kind of was clued in on some of the issues that have been around Virgin Hotels, and kind of react to some of his comments and kind of give a few of my own. Even from what I've heard, I'll go visit. It's a new property. There may not be much to see, but it's a new property. I went to the Lucky Dragon. There was nothing to see. It's like somebody's rec room with a few slot machines, but I went there. So I will check it out. I was a fairly big fan, I would say, of the old Hard Rock. I stayed there, I think, 4 times within the last few years. They were actually really good with comps, and so, hey, it's a nice property. I enjoyed the casino, the bars, some good restaurants. So was a little bit sad to hear that it was going, but I was glad to hear that someone was going to pick it up and kind of create a new concept. Except, what is the concept? Virgin Hotels. Now, we know that it's a chain of hotels. I think there's one in Chicago, I seem to remember. And of course, Virgin is the well-known from Richard Branson in the UK, and there have been all kinds of Virgin branded products and services over the years. I remember when back in the days when there was actually record stores or music stores, there was a Virgin store. So, but is it really a attractive sort of draw to get people to come off the Strip? I think Steven made a good point on that. I mean, on a good day, it's a 20-minute walk from the Strip. And when it's hot, that's kind of unpleasant. I know, because I've done it. He also mentioned the fact that it's in a kind of shady neighborhood, and it's probably not the place you want to be hanging around, wandering around after dark. That's not really Virgin's fault, but it does create more challenges. It's unlikely, it seems to me, that there'll be any kind of hotel shuttle. That seems to be a dying art form, if you want to call it an art form. And therefore, it's going to be relatively pricey for people to go back and forth. So people are going to have to really want to spend time there and really soak in the Virgin experience if they're going to be successful. Now, the other thing that he mentioned was there was a number of amenities on the property that were not available. A lot of things said coming soon, but the most dramatic one was the fact that the pool was not open. And that seems like kind of an important thing. I also saw on Cinnamon Girl's video that a number of areas that had been part of the pool complex are now sort of paved over and will be used for some other purpose. I don't know that that was a great idea. Now, I in the past have suggested that those pools probably were could be considered toxic waste dumps after the things that I've seen and heard about them. But yeah, I mean, I think, again, if you're going to draw people to an off-strip property, you're going to have luxury, you're going to have a pool. And they opened with no pool. So that's probably a mistake. Why would why wouldn't you just take a couple more months and get that fine-tuned to where you would have a pool for people? Because, again, like me, some people will go out there, they may stay there for a night, but are they going to be drawn back? Another issue, and one that is near and dear to my heart, is apparently the property is not very vlogger friendly. That's another thing that Stephen mentioned, was he was kicked off the property. I also know one of my favorite Vegas vloggers, Derek from All You Can Vegas, was also kicked off the property. And I know a number of people that were at least stopped and told that they needed to cease filming anywhere on the property, and that seems extremely short-sighted. I say this is a property that needs attention. It needs someone to call attention to it and get people excited about visiting. And the people that follow these Vegas vlogs are some of the hardest core Vegas fans. They're not going to just come to your property once. If they like it, they're going to come back again and again and again. And by the really short-sighted effect of kicking people out of the casino and stopping them from filming, I mean, I understand the concerns, but there are better ways to handle that, and that's the kind of thing that a property that already is struggling, and apparently it is, does not need. So what do you think about Virgin? Have you been? Will you go? I'm not sure. Again, you've got a challenge there, and I've mentioned this many times before, when you're off the beaten path, and it can be on the Strip. It can be someplace like Sahara, it can be, or Strat, it can be somewhere like out by the Rio or the Palms. It can be Hard Rock, Virgin. It's a challenge, particularly when your mass appeal is to out-of-town visitors. So let me know. A few things apparently opening, or at least the rumor is that they're opening in May. There was a rumor, a report anyway, from the one and only Scott of Vital Vegas this week, that Resorts World was going to open, or at least some of it was going to open as early as May 14th. There's been no confirmation on that. That's basically 4 weeks away, so we will keep an eye on that. Of course, that'd be the first major Strip property built from the ground up that we've seen in over a decade. So pretty exciting, and that property, at least it's a little bit out there, but it's close to Wynn Encore, it's close to Circus Circus, although I don't know how much of a common sort of customer base you're going to have between Circus Circus and Resorts World. But the Resorts World theme and the sort of Hilton branded properties, hotels on site, I think would be appealing to the same kind of people who might stay at Wynn Encore, Venetian, Palazzo, which are basically its closest neighbors to the south. So that will be interesting. The other thing we've heard is that the monorail is coming back, and I'm kind of surprised about that. I thought perhaps we had seen the end of it, but supposedly the monorail will be reopening on May the 31st of this year. So if you're a big fan of the monorail, you may have a chance to check it out again. We still don't know anything about Main Street Station or Palms, the last two sort of major properties that guests, out-of-towners visit, that are still closed, and my two luckiest properties, of course. So we'll keep an eye open for that. The other big news story of the week was Bally's purchased Tropicana, and you probably did a double take thinking, why would Bally's Hotel purchased Tropicana, and why didn't it just say that Caesars Entertainment purchased Tropicana? Well, because this is not the same Bally's, although there's a history there. I'm not going to go into it, of how the Bally's Hotel and this Bally's company, which is expanding its sports betting, has been picking up a few casinos around the country. I think the Tropicana would be its 12th. They've also branded themselves on a number of the regional sports networks recently. So they're a very ambitious company at this point, and they made a move on a property that has been passed around many, many times, like football at the playground, and that would be the Tropicana. I have nothing against the Tropicana. It was kind of dingy the first few times I was there. They did a pretty decent remodel on it, probably a decade or so. It's probably been longer than that. I don't know. And really freshened it up. The rooms look decent. The casino is nice enough, but it's just one of those places that I never seem to get to because there's nothing to draw me there. It's, again, so the Virgin thing. It might be a nice property, but why are you going there when there are places that have attractions that are more interesting to you? So we will see what they do with that. I think any kind of an infusion of new ideas and new energy at that property would be most welcome. Whether there will be some kind of there's been speculation that for many years that Caesars and before that Harrah's might rebrand Bally's as the Horseshoe. As they have a number of horseshoe properties around the country, and perhaps under those circumstances you might see the Bally's Corporation try to get the rights to use the name Bally's for that Tropicana property. But we will see. That's much speculation. The deal should close next year. There should be no regulatory issues because there's no other Bally's properties anywhere in the state of Nevada. So it's just a matter of crossing the T's, dotting the I's, and making sure the lawyers get a big chunk of cash. All right, that's going to wrap up the news segment for today. A big one. Could have made it much longer, but I thought we'd just hit the high points on some of those news items. Now we welcome back our friend Vino from 60 Second Cocktail. He has a cocktail for us today that I'm sure will be inventive and interesting, and hopefully you'll give it a try. Vino, take it away.
All right, Johnny boy, thanks again for having me on the show. And I want to give a big shout out to my buddy PJ. And I want to say hello to everybody out there in Vegas Tips and Tricks land. I'm Vino Valentino of 60 Second Cocktails. And today I'm going to be making you guys another delicious cocktail called a Flamingo. I got my cheat sheet here. Let's look at what's in the sauce, right guys? First thing we're gonna need is 1.5 ounces of white rum. Now I'm using Cruzan white rum, but if all you have is Bacardi or whatever, go ahead, go for it. Doesn't matter as long as it's something that you have and you like, all right guys? Then we're gonna do 1.5 ounces of pineapple juice. If you guys have the ability to fresh squeeze some, go ahead, but more than likely you're gonna be using it out of the can. That's just fine. All right guys, then we're gonna need 1/2 ounce of lime juice. I use freshly squeezed lime juice, but if you guys want to go ahead and use something out of a bottle, go ahead. Like I say, enjoy cocktails the way you want to enjoy them. And then 1/4 ounce of grenadine, which is basically a pomegranate syrup. And that stuff you can find in a bottle very easily in your supermarket. All right, guys? So let's go ahead and make the cocktail. First thing we're going to do is put ice inside of our shaker. All right, this cocktail is shaken. Then we're going to do 1.5 ounces of our white rum. Again, like I said, you can use whatever white rum you have. You can even, if you want to be funky with it, you want to experiment and maybe do a dark rum or something like that, you can, but it will change the color a little bit because part of the beauty of this cocktail is the beautiful color you get out of it. That's why it's called a Flamingo, and you'll see why. All right, guys, then we do 1.5 ounces of pineapple juice. All right, guys, I love pineapple juice. You'll see I like to make a lot of pineapple cocktails. And then we're going to do 1/2 ounce of lime juice. Again, guys, I prefer freshly squeezed. But that's just me. You can do whatever you like, right, guys? Then we're gonna do 1/4 ounce of grenadine, which is gonna help to give it part of that beautiful color we're about to see. All right, guys, and then we are done. Let's just give this bad boy a nice shaky shake. All right, you want to shake it for about 15 seconds. I'm all about the pineapple cocktails and I love summer big time, so summer cocktails are always fun. I mean, I like me a nice stiff old school cocktail more than anything in the world, but when the time is right, like this time of year, give me a nice coconut or pineapple cocktail and I'm ready to go. All right, folks, now I'm gonna double strain that into my coupe glass just so I don't get any ice bits in it, but that's just a force of habit. You guys do not have to double strain. You can just go ahead and enjoy the cocktail the way you got it. All right, guys, so as you can see, that beautiful pink color, I mean, come on. Is there a more appropriate name for this bad boy, right? A flamingo? I mean, come on, forget about it. This is the perfect name for this cocktail, and it's absolutely delicious. All right, guys, so there is our flamingo. You don't need to garnish it, but if you want to throw like a little pineapple slice or cherry, it's up to you. Don't garnish is overrated. Don't worry about it. I can tell you, man, only certain cocktails that the garnish matter that much, and this stuff don't matter. Anyway, guys, let's give it a sippy sip, all right? Oh my God, that is so fantastic. Absolutely delicious, guys, and as you can see, a super simple cocktail to make. You get the delicious, absolutely delicious pineapple notes, and the grenadine brings in a little bit of that kind of cherry notes and stuff like that. And then the lime kind of helps to balance everything out, so it's not too sweet. It adds a little bit of that bitter lime, sourness that you like out of lime. Absolutely fantastic. Great cocktail to share with your friends and family on a warm summer day, or just by yourself, guys, all right? So I hope you enjoy that. Make sure you please check out my channel on YouTube, and if you have not subscribed to JR's channel, make sure you do so, and I'll see you guys for the next cocktail. Cheers.
Okay, Vino, thanks a lot. That looks good, and it's kind of Vegas themed. It's the flamingo. Fabulous flamingo. It looks like a fabulous cocktail. Again, we'll put a link to Vino's channel in the show notes below. Make sure you check him out and hit that subscribe button. It does a lot for us here at Vegas Tips and Tricks. And as Vino said, if you're new to the channel, we welcome you to subscribe as well. Hit that like button. If you have any comments, please leave them below. We do a lot of Vegas content here. We have a lot of fun, and we hope that you'll join us in the future. Now, our Vegas tip of the week is one that I can't remember seeing anywhere. And it involves something my old friend Kevin called seat time. And that's when you want to gamble, but you don't want to spend a lot of money. You want to be able to sit there, maybe get some complimentary beverages, maybe have a little skin in the game, so to speak, but not risk a lot of cash. And one good way to do this is to hit the race and sports book. It's very easy to put down a bet. A lot of times the minimum is only $5 or $10. You know, maybe watch your favorite team, have a little bit of a real stake in whether they win or lose. Set in the sports book for a few hours. A lot of times it takes a bet of $25 or more to get a drink ticket. But if you're lucky and a cocktail waitress wanders by and you might get a free drink there, you can always bring something in from outside. Might end up being cheaper anyway. But, if you're sitting there watching a sporting event, it could be anywhere from 2 to 3 hours, maybe even longer. And, most of the time, if you're betting the point spread, the game is going to be relatively close to what the expected outcome would be. So most of the time, you're going to still be in doubt as to whether you win or lose fairly far into the event. But again, take an afternoon or an evening. Although in Vegas, it's probably going to be late afternoon if you're watching games off the East Coast. And just relax for a little bit. Some of the sports books are really great. And the race books can be fun too, although you don't see very many of those on the strip. You get off strip, you've got a lot of properties that have pretty large race books, horse racing, sometimes even dog racing. You can do a lot of really small bets. You can do a lot of exotic wagers, do multiple exotic wagers on one race. And every once in a while, you can go hit for something reasonably big, which is kind of fun as far as the dogs and horses are concerned. So get out there, get yourself a cocktail, get yourself a sports bet, and good luck and enjoy your time, because it's time that you're in Vegas and time that you're gambling, but you're not risking too much. So that's the tip of the week. Okay, once again, thanks for joining us after a basically 2-3 week hiatus from the show. And again, appreciate those of you who've stuck by the channel for multiple years. And we'll be back on Wednesday with some sort of a show. I might do something a little different on Wednesday. Might not be as Vegas themed as it is, but that's why you never know what you're going to get on the Wednesday show. And so I've got some interesting ideas I might share with you all. Regardless, I hope you join us for that. Hope you join us for next week's Vegas Weekly. We probably won't have quite as much news. Well, if we have that much news, that'd be pretty impressive. And then, of course, the podcast is coming up, probably going to be on, God, I can't do math. in my head all of a sudden. Let's see, probably the 26th, I believe, would be the correct date. It's what we're shooting for. We did a test the other day. It worked. I do need a little adapter to make the mic work on my phone. I'm waiting for that to arrive. Once it does, we'll probably do another little test show. But I'm excited to put that together. For those of you who've been watching the show for a long time, the first episode is probably going to be me introducing myself, hopefully to some new listeners, to some new people. And that'll be fun. I did forget to mention one thing in the news segment today, and that is that supposedly in just a few short weeks, according to the governor, Vegas will be back at 100%. And hopefully that continues to be the case. And it's been a long time since we've seen that. So time to make your plans to visit. Should be a fun summer and fall. Hopefully I'll see you there. Till then, hopefully you have a great, lucky, and healthy week. We will see you soon. Bye-bye.